Let me say something that might make a few people uncomfortable. Some motorcycles that are constantly recommended to beginners are more dangerous than they look. Not because they're badly engineered, not because they're unreliable, but because they create the perfect storm for new rider mistakes. And the problem is subtle. They don't look extreme. They don't sound intimidating. They're marketed as manageable, but when you combine inexperienced throttle control, weak clutch finesse, limited braking skill, nervous body positioning, and overloaded mental bandwidth, some of these bikes amplify risk instead of reducing it. Today, we're breaking down 6 beginner motorcycles that are more dangerous than you think, and why they quietly increase crash probability for brand new riders. Let's start with one that shows up in beginner forums constantly. 1. Yamaha MT-07. The MT-07 doesn't look scary. It's not a 1000cc monster. It's not a super sport. It's not a race bike. But it has one trait that makes it dangerous for beginners. Strong torque, delivered immediately. The CP2 engine makes around 74 horsepower, but the horsepower isn't the issue. It's the torque curve. It hits early and pulls hard right off idle. For an experienced rider, that's fun. For a beginner, it's reactive. New riders tend to release the clutch too quickly, roll on throttle too abruptly, overcorrect mid-corner. On a smoother 400cc bike, those mistakes are manageable. On an MT-07, those same mistakes can cause front-end lift, create unexpected acceleration, lead to panic braking. Owner discussions frequently mention the bike feeling jerky at low speeds, especially in earlier model years. And here's the dangerous part. When a bike feels unpredictable, riders tense up. Tension reduces smooth control. Reduced smooth control increases mistakes. That cycle is where accidents begin. The MT-07 is not evil. It's just not forgiving. 2. Kawasaki Ninja 650. This is probably the most misunderstood beginner bike on the market, because on paper it looks safe. Parallel twin, not crazy horsepower. Sporty, but not super sport. But the Ninja 650 has 2 traits that raise risk for brand new riders. Low to mid-range torque, heavier weight than 400 class bikes. When beginners panic at intersections, and they do, they often roll on too much throttle. On a 400, that surge is mild. On a 650, it's noticeably stronger. Add in the extra weight, and slow speed balance becomes more demanding. There's another factor people don't talk about. Insurance costs. For younger riders especially, 650 class bikes can double insurance compared to 300 to 400cc machines. That financial pressure makes beginners ride cautiously in the wrong way. Stiff, hesitant, defensive to the point of instability. A bike that feels heavier and stronger than your skill level creates subconscious anxiety, and anxiety degrades reaction time. 3.600cc Supersports. This one should be obvious, but it still needs to be said. 600cc Supersports are not beginner motorcycles. They are race-derived machines with mirrors. Even detuned or modern smoother versions still have aggressive riding position, sensitive throttle mapping, high peak horsepower, very strong front brakes, stiff suspension. New riders often describe the same pattern. I'm scared of it, but I love it. It feels twitchy. My wrists hurt in traffic. When you're uncomfortable, you don't focus on learning. You focus on surviving. And survival riding leads to over-braking hesitation mid-corner, avoiding practice. Riding less 600s don't teach fundamentals. They punish poor ones. That's 3. 3 bikes that look reasonable, but increase risk when skill is low. Now let's talk about the next 3. And these are the ones that really catch beginners off guard. Because they look safe, they look approachable, they look calm, they look starter-friendly, but they hide traits that make learning harder, and harder learning increases danger. 4. Honda Rebel 1100. This one shocks people every time. It's low, it's relaxed, it's a cruiser. It must be beginner-friendly. Seat height does not equal safety. The Rebel 1100 is over 1000cc. That engine produces strong, immediate torque. You don't need to rev it high. You barely need to try. That's the problem. Beginners are inconsistent with throttle input. That's normal. When you pair inconsistent throttle with high torque at low RPM, you get sudden acceleration. Sudden acceleration causes panic. Panic causes grabbing front brake target fixation, stiff arms, overcorrection cruisers. Also introduce a different challenge: forward foot controls. When your feet are in front of you, instead of beneath you, balance dynamics change. You lose some of the natural body positioning that helps stabilize the bike during slow maneuvers. New riders often report feeling less confident during tight turns, difficulty making U-turns, trouble controlling low-speed figure eights. And here's something rarely discussed. Heavier cruisers are harder to recover when they start to lean. Once that tipping point begins, a new rider often doesn't have the technique or confidence to save it. A low seat makes you feel secure at a stop, but torque, weight, and geometry determine how forgiving the bike actually is. The Rebel 1100 is a great machine. It's just not a foundational one. 5. Full-size adventure bikes. Africa Twin F850 GS 890 Adventure. Adventure bikes are incredibly popular. They're marketed as do-everything machines, and experienced riders can absolutely handle them. But for beginners, they introduce 3 risk multipliers: height, top-heavy balance, weight distribution. Most beginner mistakes happen at low speed: stop signs, parking lots, slow U-turns, uneven pavement. Full-size ADV bikes often have seat heights above 33 inches. That means many new riders are on their toes at stops. When you can't flat-foot comfortably, small wobbles feel enormous. Owner forums are full of posts like, "I dropped it backing out of my driveway. I'm nervous at every stoplight. It feels unstable when I'm not moving." That constant low-speed anxiety destroys confidence, and confidence loss increases danger more than horsepower does. There's also the financial factor. Adventure bikes are expensive to drop: crash bars, panniers, fairings, windscreens. One simple tip-over can cost hundreds. When you're afraid of damaging your bike, you ride tense. Tension degrades smooth control. Smooth control is the key to safe riding. Adventure bikes are phenomenal once you've built balance and control. But as a first bike, they overwhelm more often than they empower. 6. Small but sharp 400 class sport bikes. This one is subtle, because many 400cc bikes are fantastic beginner options, but not all of them. Some modern 400 class sport bikes are tuned aggressively. They have quick throttle response, firm suspension, sharp braking feel, track-inspired geometry. They're built to feel sporty. That's appealing, but sporty doesn't always equal forgiving. New riders don't have perfect throttle discipline yet. They don't trail brake smoothly yet. They don't transition weight seamlessly mid-corner yet. On a neutral 400, mistakes are absorbed. On a sharp 400, mistakes are magnified. Owners frequently describe certain bikes in this class as twitchy, sensitive, stalls easily, jerky in traffic. Even if displacement is modest, tuning matters. A bike that reacts instantly to imperfect inputs can create fear quickly, and fear is dangerous. Because when you fear your machine, you stop trusting it. And when trust disappears, hesitation appears. Hesitation mid-corner is one of the fastest ways to destabilize a motorcycle. The real danger isn't size, it's mismatch. A beginner's brain is overloaded. You're learning clutch control, throttle modulation, gear timing, counter-steering, braking pressure, road scanning, hazard anticipation. That's already a massive cognitive load. Add in excess torque, extra weight, tall seat height, aggressive geometry, reactive throttle mapping, and your brain reaches capacity. When your brain reaches capacity, your body stiffens. When your body stiffens, you grab instead of squeeze. You snap instead of roll. You freeze instead of adjust. That's how beginner crashes happen. Not because the rider is reckless, but because the bike demanded more than their skill could supply. Avoiding dangerous beginner bikes is only half the equation. You don't just want to avoid risk, you want to build confidence deliberately, because confidence is what keeps you upright, and confidence doesn't come from horsepower, it comes from control. So what actually makes a beginner motorcycle safe? 1. Predictable power delivery. Not just low horsepower, predictable horsepower. The power should build smoothly as you roll the throttle. No sudden spikes, no jerky surges, no whoa moments when you didn't mean to accelerate that hard. When power delivery is smooth, your brain stays calm. When your brain stays calm, your hands stay smooth. Smooth hands prevent crashes. 2. Manageable weight. This matters more than engine size. A bike that feels balanced and manageable at walking speed builds low-speed confidence. Remember, most beginner drops happen under 10 miles per hour. Stoplights, parking lots, driveways. If the bike feels heavy and intimidating at low speed, you'll dread those situations. If it feels light and balanced, you'll practice more. Practice builds skill. Skill builds safety. And 3. Neutral ergonomics. Your first bike should feel natural, not extreme, not race-focused, not stretched-out cruiser geometry, not tall ADV stance. An upright or mildly sporty riding position gives you better visibility, better leverage on the bars, better body control, less fatigue. Fatigue leads to mistakes. Comfort supports learning. 4. Forgiving brakes and suspension. Sharp brakes are great for experienced riders. Beginners need progressive brakes. You should be able to squeeze the lever and feel braking increase gradually, not instantly bite. Suspension should absorb imperfect inputs, not punish them. A forgiving setup buys you time when you mess up, and you will mess up. Everyone does. 5. Affordable consequences. This is psychological and huge. If you're terrified of dropping your bike because it's expensive to repair, you ride stiff. Stiff riders make more mistakes. A beginner-friendly bike is affordable to insure, cheap to fix, not covered in expensive plastics, not emotionally overwhelming to damage. When mistakes feel survivable, you relax. Relaxed riders learn faster. Final thought. The most dangerous beginner bike isn't the fastest. It's the one that makes you doubt yourself. The one that feels unpredictable. The one that feels intimidating. The one that makes you tense every time you start it. Your first motorcycle should feel like a teacher, not a test. Choose a bike that forgives your early mistakes, encourages smooth inputs, feels balanced at low speed, lets you practice without fear, because confidence isn't automatic, it's built, and the right motorcycle helps you build it safely. Start smart, grow steadily, and upgrade when your skill demands it, not your ego. I'll see you in the next one.